Welcome to another Fireside Chat. As always, I'm Dan alongside Matt talking about the week that was as we run into the NHL's Olympic break, and we're joined by our friend Kevin Olenek from the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Kevin, how you doing?
I am not 100%, but I'm gonna make it through. I'm the gonna be the Chris Tanev podcasting. So I'm playing hurt, but I'm here. Um,
You're not 100%, but you're better than Huberdeau.
yes, I guess. Well, that's true. I could say that I'm Jonathan Huberdeau, considering what he has went through for this entire year that we
But you're
were.
not out for the rest of the season.
No, I'm not. I will be back.
All right. Well, let's get to that. But Kevin, do you want to do your ad read?
Yes, I do. Of course, this will be a co-recording with Fireside Chat and Shifts and Pucks, which means DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly.
Let's jump into the week that was for the Flames. Two games. It's been a long time since we've had a two-game week. I can't think of one that I can ever remember. This is crazy light for the team, but obviously they only played till Wednesday. The first game of the week, Brad Treliving brought the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Dome, and they ended up trouncing the Flames. Nylander got 3 points as the Maple Leafs won 4-2 in this one. Matt, what were your thoughts on this game?
I thought that both of these teams, frankly, were not playing very well, and the difference really was that Toronto has star power and Calgary doesn't, and they can get away with not necessarily having the best of efforts because a guy like Nylander can just randomly pop off for 3 points. And even though he was largely invisible for most of the game, and Calgary needs to fight for every inch of the ice, and like the effort level just wasn't there in this one for the Flames.
Yeah, I thought that this one was, I mean, as we've said so often, right? The Flames, if they would have been engaged for 60 minutes, they would have probably got a different result, but they played like the team they are. Kevin, what was your thought on this one?
Well, it's just certainly it's to stay on the Jonathan Huberdeau theme. How brutal was that? I mean, the Flames off the start get the pressure, and then the puck bounces off of him, goes to Nylander and in the net on a breakaway. This is a team that can't go down 3-0 for sure. Um, yeah, certainly. Um, yes, don't either team was great. There was a player on Toronto. I'm not sure if he was in the lineup. I'm just gonna look up on the roster here. Is there a guy named Austin Matthews on that roster?
I believe he's still
Uh,
there.
yeah,
Okay.
it was hard to tell. Like I remember at one point seeing him on the jumbotron
Oh,
and going, "Oh," and this was in the third period. And it's like, "Oh, he's actually playing tonight." Like,
yeah.
because, like, yeah, it was like I literally do not understand how he went from being such a dangerous player to being basically irrelevant. Like, honestly, the parallels between Jonathan Huberdeau and Austin Matthews are, fairly noticeable, and in how far and fast that they've declined.
That
Yeah.
was their ECHL call up, Matthew Austin's.
Matthew Austin's, yes. Boy, that team though just reminds me of it just reminds me of the 2022 Flames though. Just I think probably more gutted. The loss of Marner, loss of Gaudreau. I mean, you can kind of and not having Chris Tanev in that lineup just hurts that blue line so much. Like it's just yeah, they're just not the same team without him.
They're not. And you mentioned Marner. I mean, I think that the Matthews Marner thing and Marner leaving is an interesting parallel to what we might see in a couple of years if McDavid jumps ship from Edmonton and not having the 1-2 of him and Draisaitl, right? Like it's kind of, you break up the top two guys and one of them is no longer effective.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's one of those. Does it get to a point where the Leafs just say, well, this isn't working, and start looking at making a shift change because, like they can't it's one thing that you can get by if like Austin Matthews is scoring like 50 plus goals, but if he's playing like this, like you're not going to be good again.
We talked about this on our show last time, Matt. It's I think the Leafs are going to be bad for a long time.
I do too.
If Austin Matthews is bad and they want to get him out of there, I wonder if you call Tree and say, Huberdeau's your problem. Take the deal and we'll take Matthews. This was your contract. You inherit it.
This is the only time we'll deal with you, Brad. This is it.
This is your junk. You take it with you to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then the Flames played again against the Oilers, the Battle of Alberta, the third installment of 4 this year. And Devin Cooley in net for this one made 36 saves. The Flames held off the Oilers 4-3 in regular time. The Flames have now won the Battle of Alberta this year 3-1. There's still one game left to play, but they've got the win either way. Talking about Huberdeau from the last game, he opened scoring here for his 10th of the year. We also saw Gridden get his 3rd of the year. Zari got his 9th of the year, and Lomberg get his 4th of the year. And my thoughts in this game before I jump to you guys, I thought we saw good effort throughout the lineup. All 4 lines, I think, did what they needed to do to beat the Oilers. The Flames, I don't know if it was the Flames were effective at keeping McDavid away from the front of the net, or McDavid just didn't want to get in there and get hurt for the Olympics. But either way, McDavid wasn't in front of the net, and I think that was a big reason why he wasn't able to score a ton on Cooley. And Cooley looked amazing in this one. Like, if you didn't know the Flames roster, I don't think you would have known that the backup was in. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, anytime a goalie who gives up 3 goals is one of the 3 stars, it kind of tells you the caliber of game he had. And I also am glad that Huberdeau, knowing that he was done for the year, decided to stay in just long enough to stick it to the Oilers for one last one before riding off into the sunset. So cheers to you, Jonathan. I like your style on that.
You gotta set your priorities, right?
Yeah, like definite thumbs up on that. And
not just stayed in the lineup, but probably worked through some pain to get that goal.
Oh yeah.
So good for you. Kevin, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, at least the Oilers have solved their goaltending problem. I think that's great. They've solved it. They'll be fine for the playoffs. There are no issues in terms of goaltending, right? Everything is fine there. They traded Stuart Skinner for Tristan Jarry, and everybody is living happily ever after.
Everyone in Calgary is living happily ever after.
Yeah, there's a legitimate argument that Devin Cooley is better than Tristan Jarry. I will listen to it.
Honestly, Devin Cooley would be the starter on the Oilers by a mile. And it's not even close. Frankly, the Oilers are. Honestly, I would not be shocked if they missed the playoffs entirely. They are dangerously close to 9th. LA has a couple games in hand on them. They just got Panarin. They're only 1 point up on Seattle and Anaheim. Both of them have 2 games in hand. It would not take very much for them just to fall right out. And with their goaltending and defense, there's not really any way to fix or address that. They don't have any assets really to trade. They're in a bad spot. And
I won't press the button, but on the mixing board I have the Oilers Suck song as a one-click button that we can play, but we won't play it today.
Yeah. The one thing, just for the Flames perspective, though, that I think they deserve a ton of credit for this year. I mean, winning 3 of 4 of the Battle of Alberta is always great, but especially in this game, I think the Oilers were trying to push them around a little bit, and the Flames would just have none of it. There was this team would not back down. It wasn't it's not Florida Tampa in terms of fights all over the ice, but you could see that the Oilers think that they can intimidate them with their speed and their skill, and the Flames will have none of it. There's a legitimate hatred in that organization for the Oilers, and I'm here for it. That's just wonderful to me going forward.
I mean, I think it's one of the things that makes Calgary hockey fun, right? Is we got this Battle of Alberta, and I think there's very few rivalries even in this league that match it.
Yeah.
So going into this week, we won't do this at the end of the show, but I thought Calgary would beat Toronto and Edmonton. Matt thought we would lose to Edmonton, Toronto, so we split 1-1 in this week, and neither of us wins again, as usual.
Yeah.
But at this point, after 56 games, the Calgary Flames have 23 wins, 27 losses, 6 overtime losses for 53 points, which puts them third from the bottom in the West, with only St. Louis at 49 and Vancouver at 42 below them. Winnipeg tied with Calgary for 52, then Chicago at 53, San Jose at 58, and the wildcard teams we were mentioning earlier, Anaheim 63, Utah 64, and Edmonton firmly in one of the top three at 64. So we talked about this last week, Kevin, but curious to get your thoughts. The Calgary Flames are pretty much a bottom 5 team now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're a bottom 3 team. Really. I still think Winnipeg has some juice in them, but it looks like that is starting to fade. But to me, yeah,
I don't know if they're top 3 now because New York's already below them, and I think now that they don't have Panarin, New York's probably going to fall below the Flames.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
to be
I would
fair, like
imagine that.
Go
yeah,
ahead,
to
Kevin.
be fair, oh, okay.
We'll let him finish that.
The Flames will lose Coleman. Well, the Flames have lost Coleman. We'll get into the Huberdeau news. It is the Flames are going to be a bad team too as we continue through the as we get back from the Olympics. So yeah,
Well, and you look at
they're definitely going to be a bottom 5.
you know, like the likelihood
What
that
about?
Kadri, Coleman, and Uyghur go is not, you know, like we still have pieces that we can move out. And, you know, if I'm any of those 3 players, you know, like, do I want to be here through a rebuild? And the answer is likely no. So, you know, it's one of those, like, yes, like the Rangers, you know, have fallen off a little bit, but you know, the Flames basically only have so many good players, and we might be getting rid of all of them. So
I think it's also more likely now that we get rid of Ryan Lomberg because we know that Gavin McKenna can fill his role in the lineup.
yeah, exactly.
But there's no guarantee that we're getting McKenna here, right? So
That's true. But then we can find another enforcer if we don't.
Yeah.
I would love to see him, you know, punch somebody with the left hand while he's scoring with the right hand.
yeah.
So with that, I guess let's move into some of the lineup changes that we saw this week and recently. Then the Calgary Flames had 2 additions recently. We saw Marty Pospisil come back in the lineup, as well as Zayne Parekh come back in the lineup. Both those guys played this week. I'm not really happy to see Marty Pospisil at center. I think we tried this last year and it didn't work, and I don't know why they keep wanting to go to that well. I'm fine if he wants to be in the lineup, and I think now that Huberdeau is out, and we'll talk about more of those details a little bit later, you'll see Pospisil move back to the wing. But, I mean, I don't know. He looks okay, but I don't think the Flames really missed him. Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's definitely not a center, but right now, who else are you going to put in that position? That's the problem. Like
Rory
Beaver
Cairns?
is out. You put Kirkland on waivers. If I'm highly doubt we're going to see Justin. I mean, Justin. I don't think Justin Kirkland is going to wear the flaming C. I think quite likely he's going to be wearing a flaming W for the remainder of his career. Unfortunately, just my hunch there.
Well, and Beecher is likely coming back after the break, so
Oh, is he? Okay. I thought he was done for the year, so that's good. That's some good news. I thought the Flames, I mean, he was okay. They did seem to have a bit more bristle in their step with him in the lineup, so I will give him that. But yeah, he's not a center, but he's probably their best option at this point too. So
What do you think, Matt?
it's one of those where necessity kind of like Pospisil deserves to be in the lineup. He is a better player than Kirkland, and at the moments that they had him, the only real spot was to be the 4th line center. So it's one of those where, like, ideal situation, he'd be a winger, but you know, it's fine. We're not good, so like, does it matter? No.
That's a good point. And then if we look on the back end, we've got Zayne Parekh, who's been in the lineup now, playing with Joel Hanley as the 3rd pair. I don't know about you guys, but I felt that Zayne Parekh in this one has looked a lot, I would say, a lot more defensively responsible in a lot of ways. I don't know that he's been as maybe as nervous as getting hit as he seemed to be earlier. I don't think he's still quite at the NHL level, but like Matt said, we're not doing well now. Why not put him in there? I don't think he's been a liability. Matt, what do you think?
Well, exactly. And, like I remember when TJ Brody came up initially, and he was freaking terrible defensively. Like, worse than Miramanov level. Like, what are you doing? And, um, Parekh definitely, has some challenges back there, but his offensive instincts are also quite noticeable. So it's one of those where you kind of have to have some on the job training and learn from things like while you're down there. And as long as he's receptive to hearing what the coach is saying, it'll he will grow into a good player. It's just
I still don't know if he's going to start the season next year with the Flames, but I think, he's here. You might as well embrace him for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was 2-3 games. He looked good against. They have a plan with Zayne Parekh. They're going to stick to the plan with Zayne Parekh. No matter how many people are going to yell that Parekh needs to have more ice time, they've got a specific plan. And this is specifically, I'm not saying that Parekh is not doing anything, but Parekh has been given some pretty specific instructions. They have a very specific plan with him even through this Olympic break. I mean, it's unfortunately he can't go back to the Wranglers and play, but that's unfortunately the rules. It's on Zayne Parekh to do what Zayne Parekh needs to do to be a regular player in the National Hockey League. I think the management has done everything that they could for him. It's Zayne Parekh that has to take the steps.
Zayne Parekh is, from what I understand, he's been told he needs to be in the gym pretty much this whole time and put on some mass.
Yes.
Well, and you harken back to former Flame Dion Phaneuf, who also was selected 9th overall, much like Parekh, and it's one of those where, like, Phaneuf had all the tools to be an elite player back then, and his attitude got in the way, and he refused to listen to coaches on how to take those next steps, and he basically maxed out as a rookie, and then basically declined from there. And it'll be interesting to see with Parekh having a more of a personality like Phaneuf did, if there's going to be hiccups because of that, and see how things shake out as we move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen some stuff with Zayne Parekh both, this year and also in his junior year about some of that attitude and what we're seeing off the ice. And I think that that's something that the Flames, I mean, we saw his comments around the World Junior about maybe being managed and what he's saying to the league and things like that. And I think that there is a big part of this, like you said, with Phaneuf is going to be managing him as a person off the ice as much as it is on the ice.
Yeah. It's not about, I think I've said this before and I want to remind, personality is not drama. Those are two different things. Nobody is opposed to anybody having a personality. But if you're
you look at like a guy like Devin Cooley, like he is 100% personality. He is a crazy nut job, but but there is no drama there. He's just nuts, and that's fine.
Ryan Lomberg is a personality, but there's no drama with him either.
No, yeah. I mean, and you get both kind of the the polarizing personalities and the fun personalities. Like Cooley, I think, is the fun guy. Lomberg's the fun guy. I mean, Anderson was a bit of personality with his stare downs. You need all those types to make things work. But yeah, you don't need to have the drama, and you don't need to be the bad guy. You don't need to be the heel to be the personality.
No.
And I think that's where, they might have to get away from that. And I think, and we've seen this, and I don't know if this is the case with Parekh, I'm guessing, but I think we've seen this in the past with a lot of these guys where they were, the big news in their small town when they're playing in the OHL. They're the top guy in that town, and then they come to a place like Calgary where now they're the low man on the totem pole, or they're not the biggest deal in town. And I think there is something mentally to kind of prepare for that.
Well, and you're 19 years old, you're in a new city, you're in this is a whole new lifestyle. It is different. There is an adjustment. So we do need to give Parekh some grace with that. But yeah, all of this is on him to develop and learn. And he has there's no doubt the tools are there for him to be a legitimate National Hockey League defenseman. There's no question. I will never argue that.
No.
But
Whether it's next year or not, I don't know. I would argue that.
We'll
Sure.
cross that bridge when it comes to it.
And then the last, I guess, news from the Flames this week, we got two guys that got sent down. We'll talk about that. But Justin Kirkland put on waivers and cleared. And I saw some people online saying they were surprised that Kirkland cleared. I think this is a case of, again, a personality, right? The Flames like Kirkland because of his nickname and some of the things he's done here. But every team has a Justin Kirkland. I'm not surprised that he made it through. Is anybody?
Yeah, it's like when Dryden Hunt got put on waivers. It's like, yeah, well, of course nobody claimed him. Like, random quad A guy. Like, he's...
Yeah, and we have to remind fans, as we always do, that when you claim a guy from waivers, you have to keep him on your NHL roster for the remainder of the season. So like with Beecher, the Flames can't send him down now. They've got to keep him on the roster. So I don't see a team that would want to say yes or committing to Kirkland for the last couple months.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, it's. I don't think people see Justin Kirkland as a regular National Hockey Leaguer. If they did, someone would have claimed him, but they don't.
Well, and honestly, like, Beecher is a better overall player than Kirkland, and is younger and has upside still, so it's one of those where, kind of the writing's on the wall, but it just makes more sense to, have the room for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with Dryden Hunt, right? He's like 28 and he's playing in the American League. If somebody thought that he was an NHL player, he would be on an NHL roster.
Yeah.
And then I guess couple AHL notes here. Gridden and Brestevich is signed to the Wranglers for the Olympic break, so they're not sitting around doing nothing during the break. They will be playing for the Wranglers. I think they played last night and probably again today, which is a smart move. You want to keep those guys going, so... back to the Wranglers for them, and also
it also makes them eligible for the AHL playoffs as well.
True.
So
yeah, that's a good point. And then also an AHL trade this week for the Flames. Kind of a weird one here. I think just two guys who need different scenery. The Calgary Flames have traded defenseman Jerome Poirier to Dallas for defenseman Gavin White, and they're both the same age. They're both 23. White has recorded 5 points in 23 games with the Texas Stars this year. In 118 AHL games, he's totaled 27 points. He made one appearance in the Calgary Cup playoffs, registering 1 assist in 6 games. He's 6 foot, 185 pounds from Brockville, Ontario. So this to me just feels like two guys that maybe need a change of pace.
Well, and it's one of those where, like, Poirier was not going to get re-signed by the team, and I'm gathering White was not going to get re-signed by Dallas, so why not flip them for each other? They're basically the same defenseman. Give them the 20-game tryout, see how they do. Are you going to be a worthwhile veteran to keep for next year, or just move on and... who cares, basically? Organizational depth.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well, if you know you're not going to re-sign Poirier, try another guy in that role. And if it doesn't work, you lose nothing. You're still going to lose that role and probably sign a free agent. If it does, great. Keep him around.
Yeah. Where are you going to really put Poirier in this? I mean, it looks like, Kuznetsov has cemented a spot in the top 4. You probably want to have a look at Morin at some point. I think that the Flames are really impressed with Messier Phillips. I think there's probably still some project in that, but I imagine that they're going to be really, I suspect actually wouldn't be surprised if Phillips passed Poirier in terms of some sort of depth slotting. You got Artem Garishnikov that I think you probably want to see where you're at with him. I'm not sure if they want to see him in the NHL, but there's just a lot of left side defensemen that have passed or around that Jerome Poirier situation.
And Poirier also lost a year of development, right? He was out for a whole year. And I think that I was high on Poirier. I thought we should at least get a look at him this year being his age. But I think that because of that lost year, he doesn't seem like he's made up the time. I think it's time to probably, move on from him.
Yeah.
And I think, there's Nick Sissick down there too. They're not going to take a look at, but not everyone in the AHL needs to become an AHLer. You need good AHLers as well. And I think that Gavin White might just be that, he's a right shot guy. I think he might just be a good AHL player.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Kevin, do you want to do your next ad read here?
Yes, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code XXX. That's code XXX to turn $5 into $300, pardon me, in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-78-HOPE, HOPNEY, or text HOPNEY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.ca/audio. Limited time offer.
I think the big story this week for us to jump into is the Jonathan Huberdeau surgery. So he's been playing through some hip pain, and Craig Conroy said this week that Huberdeau's been managing his hip-related symptoms with injections throughout the season. The team and him finally decided that they're going to shut him down, and he's going to go get a hip resurfacing surgery, which means he'll be out for the season. I think, guys, this probably explains a lot of why we've been disappointed with Huberdeau. I mean, you need your hips to be an NHL player, and as Shakira reminds us, hips don't lie. And I think that, if you're having trouble skating and moving and that sort of thing, no wonder you're not looking good.
Yeah, and with the amount of pain that he was going through, like he looked off all year, and like, am I shocked that he needs to have this kind of thing? Absolutely not. Like, it was quite visible based on how he was playing that, like, how would you say, he didn't really get a ton of criticism due to the fact that, like, the Flames were terrible all year anyway. But, like, if the Flames had been gearing up for the playoffs, like, all year, like, basically that would have been the story of, like, how bad Huberdeau's been.
But, I mean, he looked good last year, and he seemed to fall back off that cliff, so I kind of knew something was up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't suspect it was an injury. Maybe I should have, but yeah, he definitely was off this year. I just hope for the best going forward. And yeah, good on him for toughing it out. I think I mean, there's probably an argument if Jonathan Huberdeau was closer to last year's Jonathan Huberdeau, the Flames might be battling for a playoff spot, but alas, we're not. And yeah, just hopefully he gets better and his career can resume wherever that is, whether that is with Calgary or not.
Yeah, and the likelihood is that he will also miss all of next year as well. Usually it takes 9 to 12 months to get better enough to resume activities fully, which he's not getting the surgery done till March. So, the earliest we could probably see him is the beginning of the 27 part of the calendar. And more likely he's going to be out all of next season as well.
Or Bernie, you're that contract they were trying to find a way to get out of.
So what? Okay, they put him on LTIR then, I'm assuming, right?
No point. Like the Flames need to hit the cap floor, and honestly, having the 10.5 on the books is actually more important for
But he's also then taking up a roster spot, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what confuses me then.
So I'm just looking at the numbers here. So Calgary's current annual cap hit is $85 million. The floor is 60 something. So even if they took $10 million off that,
it also depends on like future trades for Coleman and Kadri and
That's true.
Uyghur. So that's where, like, I wouldn't be rushing to put him into LTIR yet until after the trade deadline and see
Yeah,
where he goes.
I would assume it would be either A, after the trade deadline, or B, the start of next year that they do that.
Hmm.
So with him out and with Anderson out, we're losing two of our four alternates. Who would you guys give those A's to?
One has to go to Ryan Lomberg.
I
I
think
mean,
so.
he's been part of that leadership group. It's been the six plus Ryan, so I think you got to give one to him. Um,
It's hard after that, isn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, that would be the only guy on my list that makes sense.
I mean, you only need two alternates, and they've been doing this thing where they have two at home, two on the road. So I think if you were to do Kadri, Uyghur, and Lomberg, I think you'd be fine with that. Do one of them in Lomberg at home and one of them in Lomberg on the road.
I'll toss a name into this conversation. I think he's kind of earned it a bit. Joel Farabee.
I don't know what Joe Farabee is behind the scenes.
That would be the good
I
restriction.
don't know
But
if he's a leader. I don't know if he just, gets dressed and sits quietly. We don't know a lot about the man that is Joel Farabee when he's not wearing his equipment.
that's true. That's totally fair. But I think he's been one of the harder working Flames of this year. So that's why I would consider that. Like, it's very rare that I've seen Joel Farabee be criticized for his work. He has worked hard every night, even if it hasn't been effective. That's fine. But
Matt, who would you put it on?
Another potential possibility is Kevin Ball.
that's true. That's a good one, actually.
Just to because like even if they decide to trade Uyghur or White Cloud, Ball's not going anywhere either way. So it's one of those where for stability and long termness, I think that also makes some sense.
Yeah, I think Farabee and Frost both kind of your veteran guys if you're going by tenure. I think if you're planning to keep White Cloud, it makes sense to put on White Cloud. He's got a cup as well. The other name that kept coming into my head, but again, I don't know what he is in the locker room is Sharon Govich.
No, nope, nope, nope. Sorry, I'm pretty adamant about that one.
Why is that?
Um, I think Sharon Govich has taken too many shifts off in his career for the Flames to put a letter on him.
Has he taken more off than number 10?
Yes, actually, he has.
So?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I just think he's been too inconsistent. Like to me, I would put Adam Klapka ahead of Sharon Govich, and if you want to put if I had to we had to list people down, Klapka would be ahead of Sharon Govich for me on that
And
one.
I actually have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't even think about Klapka just because I think that, it's really his first full-time season.
Yeah. The other thing about Kevin Ball, though, just to pack up Matt here, if you plan Parekh and Ball, I think it's very interesting if you put the A on Kevin Ball, how Zayne Parekh would. I do think that that's a subtle. You need to step up here to Parekh. Like we're putting you in a pretty important position. I
Yep.
actually like the idea of Kevin Ball. The more I think about it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with it. So I guess so talking about this surgery, before I ask my next question, I got a list of the guys here. This comes from actually the win column on Twitter, but I'll share it. The guys who've had the same surgery and how they did after that. So Patrick Kane had this surgery. He successfully returned. John Klingberg had the surgery, returned though much worse as a player. Ed Jovanovski had the surgery, played 37 more games. Nick Backstrom played 47 more games. Ryan Kessler never played again, and Carl Hagelin never played again. So even if we get Huberdeau back in the lineup, this might be the way out of this contract Calgary's been looking for.
Well, and honestly, it sucks because Huberdeau, despite like everything, he has given it his all throughout his tenure with the Flames, and the results weren't there, and that's not on him exclusively. Like the team itself was not very well set up for a player like him. And like we saw that last year, like he had 30 goals, like the talent was still there. Um, it is disappointing that like doesn't get that chance to have a redemption arc. If like this ends up going the same way as guys like Backstrom and Jovanovski and Kessler and Hagelin. Um, and we'll see. Like he's not going to be in the lineup probably all of next year or most of next year. At earliest, like it'll be a trade deadline type acquisition by the team. And who knows how he will play at that
I
point.
mean, he's already not worth 10 million. He's going to be worth a lot less when he comes back.
And it, like quality of life also matters, and getting this done so like he doesn't have to deal with that level of pain on a day-to-day basis is a huge thing. So, like I'm hoping for the best for him as a person, and whether or not, he comes back, plays for a little bit and then has to be LTIR'd or not. Like it's kind of besides the point, and we'll figure that out when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to disparage him by saying they want a way out of this contract, but I think we've all known Huberdeau wasn't working out here. And, I mean, it's sad that he's going through this. This is a life-changing thing, but, this is going to free up a roster spot.
Well, and that's also a very good opportunity for insert name of young player here to get a shot in the top six,
Yeah.
where you don't need to worry about Huberdeau, frankly, taking up a spot for the time being. Like you're allowing, like say the Flames luck out and draft a guy like Gavin McKenna, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, who, he's going to obviously go in one of the top six spots. Who's going to else on the team is going to get displaced because of that? Like, okay, he just slots in Huberdeau's spot and, figure out things when Huberdeau gets back. And, it'll be interesting to see exactly how things shake out. But
With that in mind, who do you think, and I'll ask both of you, I'll start with Kevin, who takes Huberdeau's spot in the meantime? Is it just Pospisil as slides over the wing, or do we see a call-up?
Well, we'll obviously see a call up, but before we get there, I just want to ask a very quick question. I was just thinking about how a lot of the Jacob Pelche, when Jacob Pelche was with this organization called Huberdeau Father, there seems to be some sort of mentor relationship. Do you see him part of the coaching staff with the Wranglers going forward? Is that something that you can see?
I mean, the Flames like to keep these guys on in player development, and I'm still not quite sure what that is, but whether it's the Wranglers coaching staff or I think if you're going to have a young NHL team, you're going to need that in the NHL team. But yeah, I can see them still want him to work here, especially if they owe him money.
Yeah.
If they're paying him, they're going to want him to do something. So I could definitely, see him either being a coach, if his hip would even allow him to, be on the ice and that sort of thing. If not, yeah, I see him kicking around doing something.
Yeah. That's what I'm curious about.
I mean, if they're going to pay him 10 million to do nothing, I think they're going to say, "Come out and do something."
Yeah.
But Kevin, who do you think that call up might be?
I think it's hard for me to argue against anybody other than Rory Cairns to be the call up. This is Ryan Huska has said that they want to put Cairns in a position where he is in a top six role. Huberdeau is in a top six role. That seems to make the most sense to me.
honestly, what I would do is move Connor Zari up to kind of rebuild his value to see if he can reemerge as a top six forward, and have Cairns with Backlund uh, for a little bit to see um, can he play, on a quasi top six line, and with somebody defensively responsible, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, There's multiple ways to look at that. I see what you're saying about Zari. I'd also be more comfortable putting Zari at center on the fourth and Pospisil in the wing somewhere else. So I think there's a lot. I mean, they've got the bodies to not make the call up right now if they want to. But I think that, yeah, I think you'll probably end up seeing, I think Cairns, but I also think if you're looking to fill a bottom six role, Stromgren's another guy to take another look at.
I agree.
I don't know. Was Huska impressed with Stromgren? Like the way that he played him was
Sheltered, and it makes sense. I feel that like with the likelihood that like two of Kadri Coleman and Uyghur are likely going to be on their way out, that you're going to just need bodies, period. And I think that like Stromgren likely gets recalled.
Morton's another guy in that conversation too.
Yeah.
I think that for me, Kevin, I don't know that I'm expecting as much from Stromgren as I am from Cairns as an NHLer. So I think Cairns has more to live up to than Stromgren when the coaches are looking at that.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, I think that there's a higher ceiling there and they're expecting more from him.
Yeah, I could see that.
So that's why I think you might have seen more coach discussion of one of them or the other. So let me ask you guys, going into the break now, the Flames off for almost a month, who has been the Flames MVP so far this season? Let's start with Matt.
One sec. Could you repeat that?
Sure. Who do you think is the Flames MVP so far going into the Olympic break? Who's been the best guy wearing a C?
Honestly, and this is going to sound weird, Devin Cooley.
That's my vote too.
Yeah, I was going to say either Cooley or Gridden.
Yeah. I think Gridden is the most offensively talented player in the organization. He's also 19, so, like, of course, he's not, like, the prime go-to guy yet. But, you know, like, all of the pieces are there for him to be a star player in this league.
Yeah, I think he's turned out better than a lot of people thought that he would. He had some challenges a couple years ago with finding a team and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he's doing really well there. It's amazing to see what he's coming up with, and I think doing better than I expect him to do this year. I didn't even think he'd be in the lineup. I thought it'd be Honzig and not him. But yeah,
honestly, you know, like to me, like I'm seeing flashes of David Pasternak in Gridden, and I wouldn't be shocked if like he ended up popping off in a similar way, because he just thinks the game so well.
Pat Steinberg tossed the comparison of Kaprizov with Gridden as well. Like not as highly skilled, but sort of in the same kind of style, which I could see as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but like just off ice, on ice. Look, I think we were all sort of expecting Dustin Wolf to take a little bit of a step back, and that happens. We're not surprised. But Devin Cooley has come in. He's second in the league in goals against average. He's been in the top save percentage as well. I mean, he's in the same list of Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, they obviously haven't played the same amount of games or anything like that. So, yeah, I think it's been Devin Cooley keeping the Flames in like in games, right? Like they're not getting blown out. I mean, he's making big saves, all of that. You got to get
and like the team doesn't need to throw Wolf to the Wolves and just have him play all the time because the backup is absolute dog crap. Like basically when Kipper had, you know, insert name of random guy here as his backup, and you know, like you have a legitimate secondary option to give Wolf that proper rest and reset instead of, well, we just need to run with Wolf because we don't have any other options.
And also just the character that Cooley's become. Like, he's been around for a year. We didn't see a lot of that out of the Wranglers. But, I mean, Cooley's become... I know people aren't real Flames fans, but they want to watch Cooley's media appearances. Like, he's become a personality. And how often do you have a backup goalie that's a personality?
That's true. Yeah.
Noodles 2.0.
But, I mean, even Noodles wasn't a personality when he was here.
He was a little bit, yeah.
I can't remember Noodles' interview.
No, he was kind of. It was mostly, yeah, he was mostly Conroy and Aginla that was doing most of the interviews at the time. It was like,
Yeah.
remember when Daryl Sutter was here, he barely knew the backups' names, even as a GM. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
you
was
want to talk to Noodles? Who? What? You want to have Noodles? What? Yeah.
that you got to go to the kitchen for that.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you guys both this question, and let's start with Matt on this one. What are you expecting from the Flames post Olympics? Like we've seen often when this team takes a break, they come back, they look bad after a week break. Are you expecting these guys to come out on fire? Are you expecting them to just kind of limp along? Do you think we're going to have a decimated roster as soon as we come back? What are you thinking post Olympics?
Well, you look at the 6 games right after the Olympics, heading right to the trade deadline and the day after. And you have San Jose, who's fighting for their playoff lives, LA, who's fighting for their playoff lives, Anaheim, who's fighting for their playoff lives, Dallas, who is one of the 3 best teams in the NHL, Ottawa, who's fighting for their playoff lives, and the Carolina Hurricanes, who are the best team in the East. Honestly, if the Flames win one of those games, I'll be surprised, frankly. And it's not due to the Flames struggling. Like all of those teams are awesome, and like they're going to have to be at 100% right from the opening puck drop to even have a chance against any of them. And I don't know, like especially with the trade freeze coming off, like Conroy's going to be working throughout the break to figure out trades for everybody, and I'm sure that there is a good percentage chance that like certain things will happen before we even get back to playing.
Not only are those teams, like you said, good, but they are also teams that are playing for something.
Yes. Where Calgary's in shut it down, let's play the kids mode, and that's not really a recipe for success on our end.
Kevin, what are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's gonna be like in terms of results on the ice, wins and losses at this point, it doesn't necessarily matter. But what I'm looking at is what do we see from Zayne Parekh? I mean, I suspect it is Gridden's last appearance wearing a flaming W. I think that his career is going to stay with the Flames after that. I'm also interested in Hunter Brzkovich because I think he's played really well. I think he is deserved. I think as much as everybody wants to give Parekh that roster spot, Brzkovich is earning that roster spot, and I want to see more of him as well. I want to see him get some power play time. I want to see him how he can move the puck. Um, and yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think Uyghur's going to be traded until the offseason, but Kadri Coleman, they're probably both on the table here, and we'll see what the call-ups are and how this team looks going forward. But in terms of results, I'm not expecting that. I am expecting there is a Flames Canucks game going on, I believe, in April. And I believe that the Canuck fans will be wearing Flame jerseys, cheering for the Flames, and the Flame fans will be cheering for the Canucks. And
No, we have standards, thanks.
okay, well, everybody wants that number one pick, so
Um, I think Kevin's right here. I don't think that we see Uyghur traded this offseason. I think that's very similar to this season. I think it'll happen in the offseason. I think it's very similar to the Anderson deal, where if they trade him last year, he didn't look as good. You're not going to get as much. I don't think you want to trade him when his value is lower. I think they might at least want to go in and see either the offseason or next season and see what he can bring them there. That's just my thought on that. I think this team will look drastically younger coming back. I mean, will it be immediately after? No. I think they're going to go on a big slump. I think you'll probably see the first couple weeks of just new players, younger guys, uncertainty. Like Matt said, there's less than a week and a bit when they come back before the trade deadline. So I think this team's going to look drastically different. But I think you will start to see. I mean, this team has been good in times and bad at times this season. I think this team is going to be firmly a bottom 5 team coming out of the break.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hope the effort is there. That's the big thing. Like I don't like this. There's a term coming out of here that this is a good tank game. I hate that term, but I want to see effort. Um, like I mean, that has certainly been an issue in Vancouver right now. Just the effort every night is not there. You cannot say that necessarily with the Flames. They are battling every night.
And I
So
think also because of that, Kevin, I think you will see, even the GM who said that's part of what he wants their identity to be. I think you'll see Conroy say, hey, if you're not giving us the effort, if you're one of the young guys, down you go and we'll find somebody else.
yeah,
Well, and you also have to look at like the entirety of the Flames schedule, and like 12 of the last 13 games are against teams that are both in the playoffs and or like right there, fighting for their lives. And with a lot of games against like Colorado, like all three of the times we play Colorado are in the last 13 games of the year, and it's not going to be an easy stretch for this team, even if they were, a good team. Like, it would be murderer's row, basically post the Olympics, and like the odds of the Flames, like say they were where Edmonton is, like, like I would be highly questioning whether they'd make the playoffs. And you throw in like losing Huberdeau, losing Anderson, likely losing one, two, or three of the other three top guys. Like this team could end up like having the wheels completely fall off the wagon and lose like 90% of the games basically. And like I wouldn't be shocked if like they only got 5 or 6 wins the rest of the way. And like that sounds kind of ridiculous, but just looking at the quality of the competition, like it's not going to be easy for this team.
no, no.
And I think that this is one of the few years in recent memory where the Flames can't kind of say, well, we don't know who we are at the deadline. We might be a playoff team. We might not. Like, if they don't make the deals that need to be made, then I think we question Conroy's capability as a GM. I think this, unlike last year where they thought they could still make a run for it, you're in liquidation mode this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it makes no sense to keep guys like Joel Hanley or Ryan Lomberg or Pahal or Bean if he's healthy, or like you might as well rip the bandage off, be terrible the rest of the way, let the kids play, win, lose, who cares? And
Yeah, I mean, as much as you're saying there's no point in keeping them, you also have to remember that it takes two to make a deal. And, you can't move a guy if someone doesn't want them. Like, I don't know what the market for Pahal is going to be.
Well, always like a depth defenseman, like even if you're only getting like a 5th or 6th round pick, like that is more important to us this year than having that player.
For sure.
Frankly.
But I mean, there's a lot. I think there's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be more basement sellers than usual. So I don't know if Pahal's going to be the top.
Not really. Like there's only a handful, and this is actually more of a seller's market as well.
Okay. Well, either way, I think, in my opinion, I think that there's going to be, for those kind of depth guys, and there's going to be more of them available. And I could be wrong, but I think there'll be more of those depth guys available. So maybe Pahal moves, maybe doesn't, but I think that that'll become a question of, who sees value where.
In terms of the bigger names on the Flames, I could see Coleman. I'm not believing Coleman is coming back as a Flame. I think he's going to wear a different jersey. I'm not convinced Kadri's going. I'm kind of 50-50 on that, and I feel like Uyghur will probably, if it is, it's either the offseason or around the same time that Rasmus Anderson was traded this year. The depth guys, I think that people will consider the futures for Pahal and Hanley. Like, I really do. Like, they'll get some. I don't suspect Pahal will be back. Hanley, I think, is an interesting question, but I think Hanley maybe chances are slightly less, but I don't see Pahal coming back. Just a right shot depth defenseman. I think teams really want that kind of guy, and he's a physical presence, which you need in the playoffs. I could see someone being interested in Braden Pahal.
Yeah, I
much
think
like how the Flames got guys like Fantenberg and like all of those guys, the laundry list.
I think there's going to be interest. Yeah. I mean, I just don't know if they'll be top of the list, but I guess we'll see. And I think when we talk about some of these guys, the names you just listed, Kevin, kind of those top guys, I think Coleman if he's healthy, gets done before the deadline. I still don't know. I mean, Kadri, people have talked about trading for years, and we'll have this discussion when we come back from the break, but I'm 50-50 it gets done this year. Like, I don't know that. I don't know that.
The only reason why I think it's more likely is that if you look around the bad teams, like they're basically it's Kadri for legit centers that you can plug in the top 9 that have experience and play that way. And like they're
Well, I might push back on that, Matt. I think that the Braden Shen is going to create some interest.
again, yes, and like um
Ryan O'Reilly has won a cup.
Yeah, but I don't think those guys are
well,
still the
and
player Kadri is.
yeah, and frankly, the Predators are actually still in the playoff mix. Like they're only a couple of points behind the Oilers and all of that. So like it's one of those like they might stay in it because they actually are playing well now.
We also usually see these guys ranked in tiers, and it's often like, okay, let's say Kadri's the top prize, and then if he goes, then you're looking at some of those other guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know the team is going to say, let's take Shen over Kadri if we could get them for the same price.
It depends. Shen is younger than Kadri, remember, and like but we'll yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Dan. You're kind of
I think that Uyghur, if he gets done, doesn't get done this season. I don't know about Kadri. I think Coleman does, and I think that the other players. I mean, again, if you've got someone who's interested, take it. But we still need bodies at both the AHL and the NHL levels. So while there's some merit to say ship them out if there's a deal, I think that we might end up with more guys here than we think, just because we need somebody to play the games.
Yeah,
and I don't know Hanley's 33, and I think yes, somebody might take him now, but I wonder if there's and this is why I was saying earlier I don't know if Hanley's going to be as desirable. I wonder if there's a younger option you could find somewhere for this year and then try to bring Hanley in, in the off season.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest always in left shot D right now. It's right shot D that people are interested in too.
And I think with Pahal, he also hasn't played a lot. Like I forgot he was a Flame for a while. So, I wonder if teams are going to say, well, if he's not cracking the regular lineup in Calgary, how much value is there?
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, the Flames, like the only area that they're exceptionally good at comparatively is their defense. So like the fact that and that's part and parcel. Like the Flames defense have actually been probably one of the top 10 in the NHL this year. It's just that the team can't score worth a hill of beans because they have nobody who can shoot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but I'm expecting that even with some of these changes, again, with no real alternates now, with Huberdeau out of the lineup, I think that even with some of that veteran leadership not being around, you're going to start to see this team show who they really are, and I think that's a not great hockey club.
Yeah. Yep.
Couple news and notes for us to talk about before we part ways this week. You put this into our notes here, Kevin, that Wes Gilbertson, who's been writing for the Sun and I believe the Herald now, he's the Post media reporter, has called he's written his last game for sports media. He's now moving on from this, and I believe he's taking a job in marketing at Winsport.
Oh, that's where he's going. Yeah, he's going to be missed. He was kind of a quiet sounding board, sound like
he's Batman.
Yeah.
Quiet guardian.
Well, I know that look, a lot of media can be like the media that attracts everybody is often the louder voices. And he wasn't. He was just a quiet voice that shared and covered the Flames with some respect, and he's going to be missed. And it's kind of unfortunately really tough right now. I mean, you lost. It's an interesting landscape in Calgary because it's really just Eric Francis now because Salim is gone as well. Salim Vadji is gone and West will be gone. So it's going to be interesting. I guess the other side of this is the Flames podcast. We all have to kind of stick together and support each other and support kind of we're the coverage of the Flames now in a lot of ways.
And you probably know this better than we do, covering also Vancouver, but, is this a Calgary problem or is this a Canadian media problem? I mean, we're losing media outlets and they're,
Well,
not
and
wanting...
you saw like the Washington Post cut their entire sports department
that's it,
as
yeah.
an example.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the same thing in Edmonton or in, Vancouver, Kevin?
Yeah, there's very little on the road with Vancouver as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunately it's a challenge right now in the media landscape, and that's all I will probably I can say at this point.
That's
but,
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's all that needs to be said. But yeah, I mean, I've met Wes. I've sat in the press box with Wes. He's a nice guy. I like Wes. Like you said, we're going to miss a voice there, but media's changing, right? I bet, years ago, there was a lot of people on radio that said those darn TV guys taking our jobs, and media's changing. And this kind of thing that we're doing with, people wanting to hear fans, I think is a big part of the future there.
Yep.
And I think we should probably end things off here by just talking about the Stavely, the town of Stavely, and the Southern Alberta Mustangs and the tragedy that happened there. Kevin, do you want to lead us through this one?
Yeah, it kind of brought back some Humboldt Bronco vibes for sure for me, for everybody. Heading to practice highway. I believe that's Highway 2. 3 junior players killed in a crash with a semi. 2 of them are from Kamloops. They are, I'm just making sure I have the names here. They are, sorry, give me a second here. Oh, shoot, sorry. 2 from Kamloops. 1, Caden Fine is from Alabama. That I just feel for that family going through that. How about that, kid just moving to another country and unfortunately passing
Forward
away.
JJ Wright from Kamloops and goalie Cameron Casoro, also from Kamloops.
Yeah, it's just a heartbreaking situation, and it's just our thoughts with the Southern Alberta Mustangs. And my traffic anchor goes in here. You just gotta, I'm not blaming anybody, but it's a good reminder when you're driving around semis, you do have to be careful. They're very large vehicles. I did also want to point out there was another collision involving a girls hockey team in Denver. It's the Southern California Ice Flyers. They had a collision. They had a number of injuries, and their driver passed away. And he was the father of one of the girls that played with the team, and they won a tournament this week. So I wanted to shout them up. That's the Southern California Ice Flyers. They won a tournament in Littleton, Colorado this week. So I did want to
I didn't hear about that one.
What's that?
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, that happened last week as well. So tough news in the hockey community for sure. That's just brutal, and boy, did it give me Humboldt Bronco vibes. But
yeah, I think that the hockey community really came together after the Humboldt Broncos thing. I think the community came together after the Goudreau passing, and I'm hoping that this will, especially going into the Olympics, I think it might bring a little bit more of the hockey community together as we celebrate some great hockey there.
Yeah.
But with the Olympic talk, here on Fireside Chat, we will be taking some time off during the Olympics. We won't be broadcasting again until early March. So don't check your feed over the next couple of weeks. You won't be seeing us there because we got nothing to cover. But we will come back after the Flames have resumed play in March. Kevin, what are you guys doing over at Shifts and Pucks?
Well, we've got 2 Olympic previews, one with Sean and Tyler and I, and then I interviewed Peter Loubardias, former Flames broadcaster, Mr. Canada, talked about the tournament and what he's going to expect. So that will be coming out hopefully by Monday. And we're probably going to recap the Olympics. I've been saying this everywhere. I have rebuild fatigue. You've got the Flames in rebuild mode. You've got the Canucks in rebuild mode. I think Jets are talking rebuild. The Leafs are talking rebuild. Like it's getting so tiring. It's going to be exciting to actually talk about teams that actually win hockey games. So we're looking forward to that. And
so that means you're covering Slovakia, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, so we'll kind of be keeping an eye on that. Shiftsandpucks.com, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, and subscribe wherever you get your audio, and the Hockey Podcast Network.
And for the Shifts and Pucks listeners, since this will be on both feeds, you can find Fireside Chat, me and Matt, at firesidechat.ca or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yep.
Do we want to preview the 3 games for our next show? The Sharks, Kings, and Anaheim.
Sure, let's do that. So the Flames will come back after their break, and they've got the Sharks on the 26th. They've got the Kings on the 28th. That's an 8 p.m. start time against the Sharks, a 5 p.m. start time against the Kings on Saturday, and on Sunday they have the Ducks, a back-to-back on the road, all 3 of those against the Ducks. So, a couple of years ago, that would not have seemed like that big of a road trip. That's that usual California road trip and some bad teams. But this year, I think that one's going to suck. Matt, what are you thinking for that trip?
Honestly, 0-3. And I'm not trying to be mean. All 3 of those teams are fighting for the playoffs, and the Flames are not. So, yeah.
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, I got 0-3 too. Macklin Celebrini will be celebrating a little medal in San Jose. He's going to have a big game. LA and Anaheim are fighting for playoff spots.
LA's got Panarin. He's going to be ready to go. And I think all 3 of those teams as well rested.
Yeah,
are going to be a challenge for the Flames. I mean, they don't have a ton of guys, any of those, in the Olympics. So you have very rested teams. I don't want to say 0-3, but considering my earlier prediction, these guys are going to stumble. Sure, I'll go 0-3 as well. We'll go losses all the way around to come back.
Yeah.
And,
optimism.
Yeah, I mean this is usually the parents' trip, the California trip here, but I think we can't even get parents on the road. We're just going to have to try and get all the guys back on the road.
Yeah. Well, they had their father's trip in Vegas, Utah, right? So
yeah, they did. And I think they usually do the moms in Vegas and the dads in California.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and that's because the moms got banned from Disneyland, so
now they can slowly ban by each property on the strip.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who knows? Maybe some of them are already over in Vegas. They got a month of time to kill.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we'll have a great Olympic break, and I will talk to you both probably sometime in March.
Sounds good.
And as always, go Flames go.
Go Flames go.